In this video, I'm going to go over how to use specifically Microsoft Excel to do some of the calculations and concepts we went over in the lecture video for section 11.8. So revisiting example 1 from the lecture notes, we have this data set, right, where we have data from 10 hospitals. And for each hospital, we have 2 pieces of data. We have recorded the number of beds versus the number of personnel. In the lecture video, we went over how to create a scatter plot, how to find the correlation coefficient, and then to find the least squares regression line for this set of data. I am going to now use Microsoft Excel to go over how to do those exact same things. So first of all, I'm just going to switch over and to an Excel spreadsheet. So this is what a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet looks like. And my first step is I'm just going to type the data into 2 columns on this spreadsheet. So my first column I will label number of beds, and that's my X variable. And then my second column I will label personnel. That's my Y variable. Okay, then I just type the numbers in. For number of beds, I had 28, 56, 34, 42, 45, 78, 84, 36, 74, 95. Okay. Personnel. For personnel, I have 72, 195, 74, 211, 145, 139, 184, 131, 233, and 366. There's my data. Okay, the first thing I'm going to show you is how to find the correlation coefficient. And then we will go over how to create a scatter diagram and find the equation for the least squares regression line. For the correlation coefficient, all you have to do is pick any empty cell. Just select any empty cell with your mouse. And then in that cell, type the following. You press equals, and then you type CORREL. And then you do an open parentheses. And I want to use my mouse to select the X values. I'm just going to click and drag to select all of the X values. Then I'm going to type a comma. Then I'm going to use my mouse again to select all of the Y values. Just click and drag to select them all. And then do a close parentheses and press enter. And there's my correlation coefficient. Right? This, of course, gives you a bit more of a precise answer. When we worked it out by hand, we rounded that down to 3 decimal places. This is obviously rounded out to a few more decimal places than that, but that's my correlation coefficient. Okay, next, let's go over how to find a scatter plot. To do a scatter plot, you want to select up at the top of your screen where it says Insert. Select that. And over here, these little pull-down menus, these are for creating various types of charts. What we want to do is just use your mouse to click and select all of the data. And you can even select the headings at the top. Just select it all like this using your mouse. And if you look closely, you should see one chart type that looks a lot like a scatter plot. It's this one right here. In fact, if you put your mouse arrow over it, it comes up with a little wording there that says XY scatter. So that's what you want. There's a little pull down menu next to it. You click that. There's actually lots of different styles, but this one right here is just the most basic style, and that's all we want. So just select that. And it just gives you a scatter plot. Yeah. Actually, let's do this one more time. What I'm noticing is that it's getting confused and it's putting the title for the Y data as the title of the overall table. So that's not very helpful. So let's, instead of selecting the headings at the top, just select the numbers. I think that will be a little bit better. Just select the numbers. We'll do it one more time. Scatter plot. There you go. And then if you want to, you can put a title up there of some sort. Now, this is kind of optional, but here's one thing I like to do. I either do shift click or use the right click mouse button. And I do move chart, and then I do new sheet. And then it just puts it as its own sheet, which is a little bit nicer. If you want a chart title, you can type it in there. If you don't want a chart title, you can kind of just delete that. Just delete it for now. This looks pretty good. But if your X and Y axes are not scaled the way that you want them to be, so like let's say maybe my lowest data value was around a 60 instead of like around a 30. I might want to scale the axes a little differently. You can do that by right-clicking on an axis and click Format Axis. And then you can change the minimum and the maximum values on there. Okay. You can do that for the Y-axis as well. I don't think I need to do that for this one because it looks pretty good the way it is, but sometimes you might want to format it that way. Now, if I just move my mouse arrow over one of the points on my scatter plot, it'll give you kind of the ordered pair data for that point, which is kind of nice. But then what I can do is I can do a right mouse click, and you can select where it says Add Trend Line. So I'll select that, and it just plots the least squares regression line right there. And it comes up with this menu over here on the right. One of the menu options is you can click here where it says Display Equation on Chart. If I click that, it puts the equation for the least squares regression line right there. There it is. And I can maybe, if I want to, move that to a different place on the chart. Do that. Can also adjust the text size to make that a little bigger, maybe if I want to. Should be able to anyways. There we go. Right. So you can format it, but there's the equation of the least squares regression line right there, right? Just puts it right on the chart. So yeah, this was kind of just a short little video, but I just wanted to show you how Excel can be a really helpful tool for finding both the correlation coefficient, the equation of the least squares regression line. We can use it to make a scatter plot. All of those things we went over in the lecture video. Again, there are 2 other videos posted on how to do these ideas with a TI-30 calculator, and I encourage you to watch those as well. So we will wrap this up here. Thank you for watching.